Hi Murphy, Sonicstate and Amped. Today we're looking at the new Line 6 pedal, the Pod HD500. We're listening to Fender Telecaster 52 reissue, and this is played through a Fender Blackface Twin, giving us a lovely sound. The thing about the new pedal is the range of new amplifiers, preamps, amps, cabs and mics, and the configurations of all those together. Alright, so looking at the front panel, it's pretty much the same layout as other Line 6 pedals. You've got the expression pedal, and then the master volume, and then all the tone settings which can affect each amp, and then a whole editing system. Then we can scroll up through sounds here and turn sounds on and off here, and also we've got a looper, which we'll go into a little bit more detail later. Here we've got a pedal 2 connection, so you can put in an extra expression pedal. We've got guitar input, we've got a CD MP3 input, and then the 1/4" jack outs, XLR right and left, phones, auxiliary in, which we'll talk about later, mic in, and then the effects loop. And then we've got a Variax connection, and SB diff out, MIDI in and out, USB, and then the L6 link. One great thing about this unit is you can have 2 amps working at the same time. So here we'll just take a look. We've got Fender Twin. We're going to add to it a Vox AC30. So we're adding a bit more crunch in there. We're going to take out the Fender Twin now. And back to the Fender on its own. If we just take a look at the front panel, we're on Amp A now, which is a Fender Twin. And this is like the front panel of the amplifier, so just going to add the drive. We want to now just switch onto Amp B, and then we can affect the same way. Editing individual effects is really simple. So we've got distortion, we can choose what kind of distortion, and then we can choose the amount of bass, drive, mid, treble, and then adjust individually the amount here. Also, if you want to see it laid out better in front of you, double click on enter, and we can see we've got distortion there. We can scroll up and down on each individual parameter, and then adjust the value on 4 here, up and down. Let's have a look at some preset sounds that I've found. This is a nice clean sound with some chorus. A little bit heavier. Quite out there. Synth, right, fantastic sounds and textures. Something a little bit more heavy again. Yeah, that's right, doesn't it? Pat Metheny-like, I guess. Of course, to any of these sounds you can just go straight in and add the wah. We're going to have a quick look at how you can integrate the unit into your setup. At the moment, we go in stereo out into a power amp. Of course, you can choose to go straight out into a combo or a stack for your live setup. So pretty much whatever setup you want to use, it's here ready to be sorted. Another great thing is the routing possibilities. We can have 2 guitars used at once. We can put in variacs. We can even put a mic in if you wanted to mic up an acoustic guitar, for example. I've got the Telecaster going into a Fender Twin, and we can add separate effects to the separate amps. So now just going to add some. Okay. So just take that off, and now in the auxiliary we've got this plugged into an AC30, and going to add some reverb to this now.
You can have more than one thing at the same time?
Yeah, so you can have 2 guitars going at the same time, different amps, different effects, completely separate. Looking at the looper function now, it's pretty simple to operate. Basically, everything's kind of self-explanatory on the pedal board itself. There's a looper foot switch. As soon as you press that, we're ready to go. Then we press into record, and then as soon as you do that, you record in your loop and you press again to stop. And then when you're in play mode itself, then you can overdub. Also, you can there's an undo function. You can play at half speed, and you can reverse as well. So we're in loop mode. We're just going to record a couple of chords. So now we're in the loop mode. We've got 2 chords going round. And I'm going to come out of record mode, out of the looper, and find another sound. So if I wanted to record now a little piece of that on top, I'll go back into the looper. And there it is. I can go to a different patch. And back into the looper. Here we go. No. So I didn't want that in there. So I'll go to the undo function. And there it's gone.
So what do you think about it?
I think all in all it's a fantastic piece of kit. The sounds and amps, the quality of the sounds are really top notch. It's, Line 6 has really moved on and on from the first pedals that I used. Everything's incorporated into this now, the looper and all the different mixing possibilities. I mean, it's a real professional unit. You can take this and tour this and use it on big rigs, and you'd be very satisfied with the sound.
Any downsides?
Well, not really with the unit itself and the sounds and the possibilities of the whole unit. The only things that I didn't like is the power lead could do to be a little bit longer, and any chance of a manual, printed manual, because just having to go on lines, it's pretty inconvenient.
So what about value for money?
Well, online you can find the unit for just over £400, which I think is incredible value, really. If you just take one stomp box, it's going to cost you at least 50 quid, and you've got 100 effects in here. So, and all the editing capabilities that go with it. So, I think it's 400 quid well spent.